So it finally happened, guys. Kyrie Irving has finally been traded, and he went to the Boston Celtics, the rival of the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'm honestly in shock a little bit about this. That of all the teams that make a trade, the Boston Celtics are the one that do it with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's going to be fascinating to see how these two teams play out, and I kind of want to look at this from both sides of which how the Celtics did well and how the Cleveland Cavaliers did well. First off, I want to talk about the Celtics. Honestly, if you want to talk about who got the better player, if that's your how you measure whether a team wins or loses the trade, then the Celtics probably win this trade because Kyrie Irving has proven to be just an exceptional scorer. There's no doubting at this point anymore whether Kyrie Irving can be the best scorer in the NBA. We watched it last year in the finals and the year before especially. When Kyrie Irving wants to score, he scores. And he scored at will against the Golden State Warriors, who were the best defense in the league last season by net rating. They were the best defense, and Kyrie Irving, in the toughest of environments, the NBA Finals where, Draymond and Klay Thompson and that Warriors defense that's so long, Kevin Durant, he scored at will on them. I mean, Kyrie is just such a special scoring talent. He's incredible. And he scored better on the Cavs or on the Golden State Warriors than Isaiah Thomas did on the Cavs. It's just a fact. And so what the Celtics have done is they've gotten a player on their team that when they get to the playoffs, Kyrie Irving can get them buckets and he can get a lot of them. The offense is not going to stall. And what I really like too for the Celtics with this is, has Kyrie Irving really had a great coach yet? Or even a good coach? I mean, you could argue maybe Tyronn Lue, but in some ways, the things you see with Tyronn Lue, it's a lot of just like play LeBron James like 42 minutes a game, and that's how we win the game because LeBron James is the best player on the planet. I don't know if that qualifies you as a great coach, honestly. And just like taking turns and things like that with Kyrie. I think Brad Stevens can do a lot with Kyrie Irving, and you might see a better Kyrie Irving, which is scary. I mean, good for you, Boston. You guys just got a bona fide scoring stud who can score at will on anybody. You're going to see possibly his defensive issues, but he has the capability to be a better defensive player than Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas being like 5'9" and just an absolute sieve on defense. If Kyrie Irving becomes motivated, he at least can be average, and that's good enough because his offense is that good. And, in all honesty, the other thing for the Celtics is you should be excited about is that the Celtics they're set. Like, they're ready to go. They understand that this is their crew. They are going with Jay Crowder, with Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving, and I guess Al Horford, and that's your team, and you get to just no more tanking, no more questions. This is who you're going with. It'll be interesting to see what they do next season. Danny Ainge is always making moves. I honestly don't know if Gordon Hayward's going to be on the Celtics in a couple of years just because of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum and how good they are. But good for you, Boston Celtics fans. You got a great one. Now looking at the Cavaliers, you could argue, well, maybe they got a worse player, and honestly, they did pretty well for what they traded in terms of just like value for value. Isaiah Thomas and Jay Crowder are two efficient players that are going to come in and both score at an efficient clip. Jay Crowder's a good three-point shooter, and we all know what Isaiah Thomas did last season. Isaiah Thomas had one of the best offensive seasons maybe ever last season. So the Cleveland Cavaliers did really well with that haul. Honestly, it'll fit right in, and they get to play alongside. Like, I'm excited to see what Jay Crowder does next to LeBron James. He's just a good defender. He's a big body. He can play 3-4, and he shoots the three efficiently. So that's going to be really nice along with LeBron James. If he's just like a spot-up shooter that plays defense, that's fantastic for the Cavs. And then Isaiah Thomas is just icing on the cake. He's just such a good scorer. He can score at will. Much like Kyrie, he's not at Kyrie's level, but he's in the conversation with best scorer in the Eastern Conference. That's not a slant. That's not a shade. But the thing that I love about this is they also got that Brooklyn Nets 2018 pick. The Celtics should be happy. They still have that Lakers pick they're going to get that. So the Celtics continue to just have insane assets and things like that, but they were willing to give up this Brooklyn pick to get Kyrie Irving. And so the Cavaliers are in an interesting spot. They got nice production for production with Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, and Ante Zizic, I think, was put in that trade for salary reasons. But, who knows? Maybe he can become a better player with the Cavs and LeBron. But they get that pick, and it just makes you wonder, like, are the Cavs are they ready to transition? Are they kind of thinking about a future without LeBron James? Because every sign is pointing to LeBron James going to the Lakers. It's very possible that that's where he goes. And so it's going to be fascinating to see what happens. Does LeBron James like that they got this nice pick? And if somehow the Cavs win a number one pick again, like they seem to always do when they're that close, does LeBron James stay? Is that something he wants? Or is LeBron James just wanting to go to LA because he wants to be a media mogul and make tons of money and be the first billion-dollar player in the NBA? I don't know. It's really interesting. But the nice thing for Cavaliers fans right now is you've got a legitimately good pick that could be probably going to be top 5. I mean, unless Brooklyn somehow catches fire with what they have, but Brooklyn will be a little better this season, but they're one injury away from being a bottom 5 team again. So that's a fantastic pick for the Cavs. Isaiah Thomas, Jay Crowder, both good players. I don't know if they're going to re-up Isaiah Thomas. That's part of the reason why I'm sure the Celtics wanted to trade him, because fact of the matter is Isaiah Thomas, coming off a hip injury, is 5'9", and a player of that size who's not a good offensive player and relies solely on his offense and athleticism, if that guy at that size tapers off, that gets pretty scary if you want to give a max contract to that guy. And I'm sure the Celtics knew, because there's teams out there that are going to max Isaiah Thomas, like an Orlando Magic. I could see doing that. There's teams out there that will go for him. Orlando for sure would love an offensive stud like that. Or there's teams that want to get in the playoffs that are tired of mediocrity. It would be so funny if Isaiah Thomas goes back to Sacramento or Phoenix at some point and does really well with them. It would be kind of cool, actually. But I like what it does for the Cavs. I don't think the Cavs are in fire sale right now, but you never know. Watch out. If LeBron requests a trade at some point, maybe at some point LeBron's just like, you know what, I want out of this. If things go bad, I want to go to LA now. I'll waive my no trade clause. Things could get real crazy. I don't think that happens. I think LeBron James wants to put the blame on things on Dan Gilbert, which in all honesty they should be. Dan Gilbert is not a good owner, and the Cavs are lucky to get what they got. Honestly, if I'm a Cavs fan, it's sad to see Kyrie go. Former number one pick for your team that has been just an electric player to watch. He's a lot of fun. He's incredibly popular, sells a ton of shoes, helped you win a title. You don't win that title against the Golden State Warriors if Kyrie doesn't make that sidestep dagger of a 3. One of the coolest shots I've ever seen in my life. Might be one of the best shots I've ever seen. Absolutely was one of the best shots I've ever seen. So I'm sorry to see both franchises are probably pretty sad to see go, because I know how much Celtics fans love Isaiah Thomas, and I know that Kyrie means a lot to Cleveland Cavaliers fans. So I think actually, in all honesty, a good trade overall for both teams. Kyrie wanting out and Celtics being scared to give a max to Isaiah Thomas. All right, guys, like and subscribe to get more of the Super NBA show. Talk to you later.